Gilson, 1978. Let's play the French. We played before and he drew me, so let's see if we can break the tie here. In a good way. The win-hour variation, or he allows the win-hour variation. I will play it. Oh, he plays the way I do. This is very interesting. You take and grab a pawn. And then the right answer from white here is to bring the queen out and do a double attack. Yeah, double attack. Then you bring the knight here to defend this pawn and give up this one. The center pawn is more important in this position. And white should take. Yeah, it's not a poison pawn. And now what? You know, I always have the white side more often than the black side. It wasn't quite coherent. I usually have the white side. Okay, there's a danger here that his bishop can come out and pin. There's some trick here. So the bishop comes here, and then I move my rook up, hitting the queen, and the bishop. The queen goes back, and I can bring the knight here to defend. But there's a way to move the, when the queen is here, there's a way to move the knight. So when the bishop comes out, the knight moves with an attack on the queen. And bishop takes queen. Knight takes queen is about even because the bishop is on this square and has to run away. If the queen were on d8, and the bishop would end up here on d8, and it could take this pawn, and it comes out better for white. So this is a little maneuver, although maybe I played it sooner than I needed to, but now I can immediately answer bishop g5 with knight to g4. And if queen takes pawn, I can take the bishop. And the check here is not a problem. Okay, so let's develop my light squared bishop. I guess. Yeah, so this the way white is playing, this is my secret weapon against the win-hour as white. And he plays it against me, and I have no idea what to play. I could just move my knight at any time, but I think maybe this is better, the way I'm doing this. I can also lift my rook up at any time to chase his queen away. But I'm leaving it there so that if he does play bishop g4, he doesn't, he goes that way. So I was thinking that maybe I made a mistake here. Well, I can drop back, and I'm still defending the knight. So I guess I'm okay. But I can't lift my rook now because the queen would come here. That would be embarrassing. An embarrassing situation. So let's bring the knight around and then try and get in c5. Block that bishop. Also, with the knight here, it makes it possible for me to play rook to g6 again. Maybe I should do that and ask that queen where it's going. I mean, I've already moved the rook, so I'm not castling kingside in any case. I go here. Pawn takes, bishop takes, knight takes, queen takes. I can bring the rook here to attack the queen and pile up on the c-file. But it is a pawn sack. It would leave me with kind of a tattered structure here. Let's put the rook here first. Okay, so now it looks like I'm not castling at all. He could play bishop here. Pinning this knight might be annoying. I guess I can block with the bishop. But yeah, he does it that way. Okay, let's go here. So I've got active rooks. I'm not really breaking through against his king anytime soon, although I could drop my knight in here. And I have pressure on the c-file, and my king is in the middle. Pros and cons. I think if he checks me, I will step aside with my king, even though it pins this knight. Maybe I can just walk over here to the king side. Yeah. I could block with the bishop, but then he will ignore me. If I take, it just opens up this file. So I think walking over here is the way to play it. Yeah, there's two squares the knight could go to attack the queen. It could go to d5 or it could go to g4. And g4 is looking interesting now. There's the queen going. It has nowhere to go on these diagonals, right? Yeah, now if I could threaten this pawn, well, I think I can. I just put the rook here on f3, f6, hitting this pawn. Ah, that leaves my knight hanging. If I play this pawn forward to defend my knight, then it's a problem. Let's see, but I could put my queen here. Is that good? Can attack it with the knight, then I can drop into h2 if he moves his knight. Now I can put the rook here. So I'm really threatening on f2 at this moment. He doesn't care. That's a check. I could have considered taking with the knight there, I suppose, but the rook is hitting a pawn over here. He has a check here. Actually, yeah, he has a check there. Knight takes, he takes my rook, so that is a possibility. So, oh, okay, if he attacks my knight, And then my so if I push here, he takes my knight. I can take his knight with check. I mean, I take the pawn with check and then take his knight. Do I have something better? For example, can I mate him here? I can play this check forward, but he can just take that. Let's go ahead and take here. Bringing my knight into e4 is looking like a good move. And his bishop is hanging. He defends the bishop. I can still play knight e4, right? Bishop is hanging again. He can get a check in. I don't have a problem with that. The bishop is still hanging. And he's running low on time now. He runs with the king, right? Can I just take that bishop? Okay, I can move the knight with check and then take his rook. I could check here. He could defend, so let's do this. Just simplify things. Okay, we'll bring the knight around to a safer square. He wants to bring his king in and mate me. I have to be careful about the dark squares here. His bishop does have that. I lost on time. Well, that's too bad. I'm probably still winning here. He's threatening checkmate. But I have this move. Let's go to the analysis board. I was planning this move here. Say the king comes forward. I could give up the exchange if the bishop goes there. The other move I was considering was here. But I wasn't sure if I liked this. Yeah, that's probably bad, right? Because then he has this. That old windmill, and then he's winning. So I can't play like that. But so I was thinking of this move. But this has the downside. He could come here, attack that rook, attack that knight. Let's count the pawns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 versus 3. So I could actually give up material here. And then he could take either the knight or the bishop, and I would be a piece. We'd be even in pieces, but I'd be pawns up. Anyway, interesting game. Let's go and get a rapid game here. Here we go. Let's start off with d4. KK the Mouse, 1911. Good rating. Let's see what we get against my queen's pawn opening. Get maybe a King's Indian. Or a Grinfeld or something else. Grinfeld, all right. I always like to see the Grinfeld. It's a fun opening too. Not quite as fun as the Winnower Winnower French, but but pretty good. Pretty fun. Taking is normal here. I'm surprised he's thinking at this point in the game. You can't take with the queen. You don't have to take, I guess. You could move the bishop or something. But taking is normal, and taking is normal. And white gets this big pawn center, and black immediately starts sniping at it with moves like c5 and bishop to g7 and that kind of stuff. Fun stuff. So I should slow down here, keeping in mind it's a rapid game. So this gives me time, and I think I have time in any case to develop the bishop here. This is a line I saw once and I always liked it. That way you can develop the knight here to defend these pawns and not block in the bishop. He hasn't played c5. It's interesting. But I'm going to assume that's part of his plan here. And the point of putting the knight here instead of here is that don't worry about the pin so much. You can meet it with the pawn push. So now I can castle here. Let's pause to calculate. He takes, I take, bishop takes, queen takes, knight takes. Yeah, I just am ahead on the numbers there. He's going to develop a knight next, and I'll develop a bishop. Yeah, I have time to castle. And I do want to defend it. Let's see, do I want to defend it on the other side? Normally you want to move the knight to one of these two files, the B or the C file, to get it off this diagonal and free up these pawns to go forward. The other thing about the knight here is it also defends the C pawn, so if worst comes to worst, you can push the D pawn forward and this guy is still defended. And I suppose that's one of the points of rook to c1 there, is to defend that pawn as well. So now take with the pawn. I think that's correct. I will have 3 pieces defending it. He will have 3 pieces attacking it. Queen, bishop, knight, queen, bishop, knight. And if he pushes the e pawn forward, I will just push past. So now I don't have to worry about defending that c pawn. Sometimes the knight will come here, harassing my bishop. Here I think because the C file is open, the rook belongs on the C file. Okay, he's going to pin. That's why you put the knight there too, so you break the pin. Keep this pawn defended. You don't want to push the pawn forward here and give up your rook in the corner. Usually you don't. I think that is a line in some cases. For example, if he goes with the bishop back here, you can push the pawn forward, attacking his bishop, and he takes here, you take back, and then he has to move his bishop again. Yeah, actually, if he goes here, then you push the pawn forward. It's a fork. So he can't go there. So I think as I said, we'll put the rook on the c-file. And now I can push that pawn forward whenever I want to. And if he plays knight to a5, hitting my bishop, I can also just move the bishop, because I'll have two defenders and he will only have, well, even if the bishop weren't there and the queen, it would only be queen and bishop attacking, because when the knight leaves the defense of this, or the attack on this pawn, then I don't need all three defenders either. So I've survived this initial stage here. Now the question is, can I, with my extra pawn in the center, get any kind of advantage here? This might seem a funny move, but what I'm thinking is that I would like to retreat the bishop to a2 in some cases. For example, if I play d5, d4 to d5, hitting the knight, and the knight goes here, I want to drop the bishop back to a2 so his knight can't come in on these two squares here. And if I push it all the way to a4, it's in the line of fire of this bishop. It's defended by my queen, but thought it would be simpler. So he goes there. Rooks can be exchanged here. Yeah, maybe I should have played out to played the pawn all the way to a4, because now he can put his bishop on b5, pinning my knight. He does that. So yeah, so if I defend the knight, he's moved my queen away from the defense of this pawn, and he's got two pieces attacking it. So if I defend the knight, he takes my knight, I take back. This pawn is hanging. Bishop takes is next. And I can't pin it because he can take my bishop with check. So the pin is not effective. So let's think. I can move my knight in a way to attack his bishop. He takes my rook. How about if I lift my queen up here? Oh, his knight is not loose. I was thinking if the bishop moved and I attack the bishop and then it retreats, then I take his knight. But his knight is defended by the queen. Well, let's think about this again. I move my queen up here. He takes the knight. I move my rook here. This pawn is defended at the moment. Queen is looking at this pawn, but I'm down a piece. And he's going to save his bishop. It can go here, here, here. It can go here. Here, I would take it. Here, I would take it. It could go there. Okay, here and here I would take it. There I would take it. Although he would gain a pawn here. Yeah, so it seems like he has two safe squares he could go to. My queen is here, hitting some pawns, but yeah, I think I'm going to have to rely on activity of the queen. Yeah, I can't interpose with, I don't want to draw. Don't be silly. I was just thinking, I just used barely more time than you. He didn't want that. Okay. Maybe he really likes the bishop pair. Now I'm keeping the pawn. So I'm going to try and shut down his bishop on this diagonal. I'm at a disadvantage after that turn of events, so I don't mind trading off his good bishop. Seemed like a strange draw offer, though. I could take with the knight. That's probably better than taking with the queen, right? Try and get an active roll for that piece. All about piece activity in the Grinfeld. Also, let's see. Yeah, I guess I'm happy that this is on a dark square now and I didn't have to worry about it being attacked by his bishop. But yeah, the fact that he got his bishop into b5 was a problem for me. Okay, let's activate my rook on this file. He came and defended his bishop in advance. I'll try and get some pressure on these queenside pawns, maybe create a pawn weakness there. Do a kind of minority attack, 1 versus 2. Yeah, so I just sink the queen here. I can drop the knight here first. Looking at this pawn and the fork. He can take it. He can just take it. He can just take it. Oh well. A good game. Let's see. So what should I have done here? Yeah, I can't do that. The queen is not defended. Yeah, my other idea was here. I just thought, if he was feeling like a draw, he could go like this. I threatened the fork here, but he can defend that. Yeah, this is probably more dangerous for me than it is for him, right? I mean, even if I get a check in here and get behind this pawn, he's got a runner here. If I go to attack this pawn from the front, he can defend like this. Yeah, I just didn't like this idea. So, I mean, I wanted to get the queen here and the knight here. Just didn't see those happening. Yeah, so I tried it with the knight first. So if I have to play a slow move here, maybe I could come out on the queen with the queen on this side. This might be an idea. And then I have this move in reserve, and the only piece that's in trouble is the rook here. It's on a light square. See, all my pieces I put on dark squares. Let's see. Attacks there. Comes in here with the check. He can't force an exchange. He could go after this pawn, and I could go after his pawn here. Yep, still an interesting game. Anyway, yeah, you got to pay attention to those Yeah, right there. That was how the game ended. Okay, well, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I will see you next time. Bye now.